Hey guys, how you going? A bit of a surprise Valentine's live stream right here. Got to find the camera. I got a new camera. It's a little bit higher detail, a little bit lower down. Still getting used to it. But this Friday, I'm very much on schedule, surprisingly, as is Theo. So let's take a look at what's in store this weekend as far as updates are concerned. And what you will see here in front of me on this glorious screen is, of course, the Scoutship variant, the Hammerhead. And this has been one of the ships that people have most anticipated, and I've imported it into Maya and like stuck a bunch of lights and things on it so that, I'm just going to adjust the microphone here. You might hear the printer going in the background. I'm just doing some miniature tests. And let's just go ahead and turn off everything except the geometry polygons. There you go. So we don't have any weird controls or anything. So yeah, this is roughly speaking the silhouette of the Hammerhead. We can also see it. Let's see if we want to see it without the plane. We can remove it. There we go. Quite a few developments. I'm really in love with this design myself, and I know a lot of you guys will be as well. It is a beautiful ship, and it creates a completely different profile for the Scout ship. And we've done this by adding this very roomy bridge. You'll be happy to know that this should be compatible with pretty much every single other update for the Scout ship. The only one it's probably not compatible with is the forward turret on the patrol variant, and of course mixing and matching, you're not going to get 100% there, especially with the civilian and the cargo bay. Basically it's the cargo bay variant that is not incredibly compatible with everything because of the way that the bottom has changed. But yeah, so what does this one actually do? We've also got the transport Delta one, which I'll go over just after this. It is also printable in its initial prototypes state, although I don't think I'll be able to prototype it all in time. So if you are looking to hold out, you might want to do so in case there's some modifications. I did put as much detail in as the time budget would allow. I kind of want to go back to this one and add even more detail in the future on in the interior. But anyway, let's just do a little basic tour. There will be some renders available on the update, which should come out in a couple of hours. I don't think in particular we should be having too many people joining us right now because this is a surprise stream. So sorry guys if you weren't expecting it. I wasn't either. It's just a Friday. I'm here by myself. Everyone's gone home. Of my staff, Mikkel and Lisa. So I thought, why not give the tour, since soon I'll be hopping into the car and going home, walk the dog, and prepare for Valentine's Day. And I'll have the update done before my wife gets home, which is great. For me, anyway. Won't get into trouble. But yes, back to the Hammerhead. So the overall silhouette, you'll see that the compatibility with the forward turret really isn't an issue because we've added one here. And now you can leave this as a turret ring. Notice something different here? We have the side turret rings, and yes, they work the same as actual turrets, so you can swap them out for turrets if you want to stick a stupid amount of turrets on. What you will notice is that unfortunately the barrels of this lower turret just slightly have a blockage here, which is why I actually lowered this and created a new form of airlock ring for this section. specifically for this model, but it should be compatible with pretty much every single turret ring of standard size, including on the Chimera. So if you want to add some airlocks at various places, you can now do so. And you could potentially swap some of these turrets around so that you had, for example, another airlock there, or this you already have one here, so maybe that would make it a little bit defunct. But I sort of envisage these as more like emergency airlocks rather than active ones, because it would probably, well, it would have to vent the ship, and that's basically the case here too. It's stuff you would use for landing on a planet. I expect that this will be rather front heavy, so don't be surprised if you need to use some glue to hold it together. Just a fair warning there, guys. The profile of the ship's been changed a fair bit, as you can see. I really like the lines. This sort of brings me back to my own sort of. I've said it before on stream. I believe that the Scout ship is the most my aesthetic of the 4 ships that I've made, which is very much, you know, I would say something like 80s anime more than anything else. So look at, for inspiration, look at Yamano, look at Macross, look at Gunbuster, and then sort of like a blend of different things, really. There's definitely some influences from Star Citizen there as well, not particularly this design, but adding the RCS thrusters. We have some at the front now, so that in addition to these underside engines there, we do have a little bit of forward thrust. So this thing should be able to handle itself quite decently. You have the standard rear section. On the inside, it's a little bit harder to see, but I have added just a mini STL I found on the web a couple of years ago, I think, and some basic lighting. So you've got your hallway entrance here, you get into the bridge. Why don't we just select this camera, and we can maybe play with the, let's see, we want to go into the attribute editor, and we basically just want to maybe change the focal length so that we've got a little bit more of a sort of fish. Wait, do we? No, I've gone too high. I think I'm meant to be around 60 or something. No, this is around 65. There we go. So we've got a bit more of a fisheye effect here coming into here. You can see a little bit more of the space. Let's ditch this so we can center it a little bit more. So yeah, you'll get these. I've lit up the area so you can get a rough idea for the scale. You'll notice some nice new stairs, sharply slanted. We'll take another look at those in a bit. And this this ladder well, which is now, instead of I've put the ladder on the side, and it's actually multi-level, so it goes half levels at a time. But I think actually this is a little bit too tight in here, so let's just drop this back to, that should be at 35, and we'll go to the outside again, and instead what we'll do is we'll take off the top here. So if I remember correctly, we should have, no, that wasn't it. Was it one of these ones? Yeah, there we go. So this is the top section removed, so you've got quite an extensive bridge here. Enough for, well, I've put in, what is it, 9 places. So yeah, at the moment we had a standard bunks in the hall there, and you only had place for 8 people, but fortunately we've also made new bunks that fit 3 people each. So conceivably you could have a crew of 12. That would accommodate, assuming that people aren't going to, I mean, they'd have to still, you're not going to be able to have shifts on this thing probably, because I think we're at about, I don't know, 43 meters I think the ship was at its base length, so we're probably going up to about 45 meters here. You know, getting close to like 130 feet maybe. So I just put in some control panels. So conceivably, I see this variant as maybe being some kind of command ship. So something that will let people coordinate a fleet is the words I'm looking for. Sorry guys, it's still a Friday. I have been working a little bit hard this week to get these out in time, because Monday week I am heading home to visit my family in Australia, and I really would like to get as much as possible out, because I have a new laptop there, and I'm really hoping that whilst I'm away, inspiration will strike. I might even catch up with Ian from Dragon's Rest while I'm in Oz, and I think I'll start working on Starship V while I'm away. So of course I want to get as much out as possible. We have this raised bridge section, so you can see out the window with your commands. You've still got your captain's chair here. I mean, it would be a little bit tight back here, but scale-wise, that's actually a little bit more room. And this chair should really be about 10% smaller, because we know that the chair scales are slightly off. So this ladder goes to a bottom recessed area. I haven't put anything down here right now. It's a little bit bare bones. You could have something half tile here. For example, the tops of the computer systems, like some more screens or whatnot. Some people wanted like a window out the front, but the hull is very thick there. But you could conceivably do something with this area if you want to sort of box it in. Here you can see the new ladders. They should print quite nicely. And in fact, I can, let's see. We have the screens which will be there, so you can see the eye line is fairly decent, although there is still some blockages. But I mean, this isn't a first person game, so we don't have to worry about that so much. Let's see now the extras. So you'll notice a few different objects here. So here's a better look at that new turret well and the stairs. There's two versions of the stairs. There's one with a little you can see there a little bit of a section that sticks out. This hangs over the base tile so that you can basically balance the floor of that section. Unfortunately, due to the tightness of the model, there's just not room for a clip in there. So you'll have to make do with the ladder well without a clip. Well, I got some mail. Then there are a few extra little pieces that I just modeled to take care of the floor, so you'll get some of them. Here are the turret rings. Let's isolate that. So you've got one that basically uses the VTOL full circle, because the top part here, if we stick that back on, this is done in two sections. It is going to be one of those ones where you're going to need to use some supports, basically because it's just an odd shape. And you'll also notice there's a toothed version, so you can use it on a port that doesn't snap together with two parts. And then of course we have this, which it's a little bit hard to see because of the lighting, but this is an underside turret. So I've done a version where conceivably the person in the turret sits in here, sort of like that. And what you have here, it's a small detail. These are small pegs that you can basically thread through a little notch, and that should lock your barrels in place. Now, I can't guarantee it'll work on all of the barrel variants we've done, because there are a hell of a lot of those. But it should work on these standard ones at least, and similarly formed ones. And maybe you could just slide it in a little bit and then sort of cut it off if you needed to sort of basically keep these barrels from being affected by gravity. So basically they would just go bit and fall down onto the floor. You can see here the plane. So basically it's to prevent these from just doing this. Yep, we've got that on lock. Let's turn the lock off. There we go. Ah, too much crap. There we go. So we don't want the barrels to sort of sit like that, right? Because that's not very attractive. So I'd say they'll probably hang down a tiny bit, but there's things you can do to make that not happen. So yeah, this is the Hammerhead. I hope you like it, because I'm really happy with this one, to be honest, and I hope you are too. So let's move on to the next add-on, which was the hull extender for the the long transport delta. So you can see we've added this new section here. These parts are not quite complete. We've got a combination of the working model and the finished parts here. There's two basic configurations you can do. You can just have one extra sort of like extension here, which is I'll just move that aside. So basically you just duplicate the turret ring or airlock ring, whatever you want to call it, so that there's two of them in a row. Or you can add even more parts and basically just extend this ad infinitum with these middle sections. But at the moment you're not going to get a repetition of these sections just yet. I might do another part in the future where I basically mirror these. It wouldn't be that hard to do. So basically if you want to have these sort of like leg-like sections, you could have extended ones. So basically, yeah, if you want to go even further, you just sort of like duplicate these up and move them out, and then you would move these like there somewhere. This isn't all aligned to the grid, so this top section just rests on top. There's no real locks, but I sort of found with this top section that I only really used the clips on the front to make sure that it was working. So yeah, that's basically where this is at for now. I'm fairly happy with the detail level on this one. Oh, I've also made some parts here so that you can add additional landing gears in if you want to extend it. That won't work just for the singles, because there's actually not any room to slot on these parts. Ironically, since one thing I did notice is that there's a shit ton of room in between some of these parts. So yeah, this is the transport, which is the major updates I was planning for this week. Of course, Theo, on the other hand, is working on the gantry stuff. I can just quickly jump into the folder and we can look at some of the parts for this. I haven't done renders yet, but it should be fairly modular. There should be quite a few different versions. And then, of course, we also have, let's get in here and into the pod, some very nice looking third class pods here. So I'm happy with how they're come out, and you've got the open version there. So those should be printable, and in the next update, which essentially concludes all stretch goals aside from the ghost ship, as I mentioned. I'll probably get to it when I'm in Australia. I don't know all the details with that just yet. It's going to be a bit of a bastard of a job, and it's just the sort of thing that you need to sit and think on it. Although I might release it in sections, I don't know. But yes, we'll get back to that. Probably not going to make all parts. Well, definitely not going to make all parts compatible with it, guys. I'm looking at my folder system here. Let's see. I'm just organizing my files, and in Starship IV alone, if we just jump out a level, if I look at how many files there are here, there we go, 629 files I've done so far. Now there are some opposites, some mirrors, but I guarantee you a good 400 plus of those are unique parts. So it's been quite an experience getting this all done. And the crazy thing is that now the entire lot of it is a huge amount. Let's see, maybe we can see how many files are in here. There, 1896, almost 2,000 files from Second Dynasty. Anyway, enough of the boring stuff. Let's leave with this nice, beautiful shot of... come on. Let's close off this thing. Extras, go away. There we go. A nice, beautiful shot of the Hammerhead. You can see the approximate scale there with 28 millimeters. It's still a big ship. Getting close to Chimera length. Chimera would probably come out like from the front to about there, I'm guessing, somewhere there. So it is comparable, but anyway, I've rambled on for long enough. Hopefully there's some exciting stuff here for you guys. Next week should see the release of the Starfighter pack, which I am looking forward to working on, as well as the Gantry pack should be out today, along with these. And what else? There's one other one. What is it? Oh, Turrets Pack 4. So next week, Turrets Pack 4 and Starfighter Modular System. The crew miniatures, I'm still speaking with artists about getting that outsourced because I'm not fantastic at Mudbox, and I'd rather focus on the ships. So that could be a longer process, but I will get it out to you and keep you posted and updated. But for now, I'm going to sign off and then get focused on doing some renders for this update and to get that out to you guys in a couple of hours' time. So have a good one, guys. I'll see you next week.